Okay, I don't want to talk about these next things in depth. They're just things that did bother me. They weren't shockingly awful, and so I didn't put it all together as control. But some of the things about Jehovah's Witnesses are strange. I remember that we were told, especially the females, not to wear any denim clothing. I don't know if it's because it looked too sporty or what, but of course, that was strange. No facial hair, that's been changed. Do the truth book in 6 months. That didn't take the householder into consideration at all, did it?
What year was that?
Shortly after it was published, I believe. So in the 70s. But more serious were the Watchtower as an NGO member of the UN for 10 years. And
we went on a Bethel endorsed tour of the United Nations in the early 2000s, or was it the late 90s?
I'm not
One
sure.
or the other, but oh no, it was the early 2000s. It was like 2005.
Okay. But here's a big one, that Jesus is not our mediator, according to Watchtower. He's only the mediator of the 144,000. While I was leaving and still in service with people, I asked them, is Jesus your mediator? Everyone that I asked said, yes. Of course we thought he was our mediator. And there are Watchtower quotes that said, no, he's only the mediator to the 144,000 because only they are in the new covenant with him. And guess who's the mediator for the other sheep? The governing body. And I have quotes on that from the Watchtower itself.
That's old light.
Pardon?
That's old light.
Yeah, I know. Okay. But one that really did bother me, and I asked an elder about, was what's going on with selling kingdom halls? And the elder answered, well, you know, they were dedicated to Jehovah, so it's, he needs the money up in heaven. No, it was, I never...
It was dedicated to Jehovah, so it was never ours anyway. So if they need to be sold, don't question it.
I guess that was the thinking, but I didn't buy it, and it worried me, and it was a red flag. Did I do anything about it? What could I do about it? That's part of the thing about red flags. Sometimes, what can you do about them except leave?
You're a woman, so be quiet.
Okay, enough of that one. This starts with another personal experience. I came home from midweek meeting, and my husband had the TV on, and there was Jeffrey Jackson. And I thought, well, what's this about? Wow, our brother's on TV. And he was being questioned about whether or not the Watchtower head guys think that they are the channel that God uses to dispense spiritual food to whoever wants it. And he said, well, that would be presumptuous of me to say that. Well, that shocked me. And this was the whole Australian, what was it called?
Australian Royal Commission.
Thank you, hon. ARC, Australian Royal Commission. And it was examining institutions that had a lot to do with caring for children. The point of this is that shortly thereafter, Allie started grilling me about things that she had learned and from deep Bible study. And she specifically brought up child sexual abuse within the organization. At first, we both thought that the 1,006 cases in Australia were just worldwide, and that wasn't necessary.
I didn't think that.
So Allie challenged me. I gave Watchtower arguments about maybe Candace Conti wanted to win a big amount of money by bringing a case. Well, the details are there, folks, if you want to watch that information.
And ultimately, how can anyone support any organization that does not protect their own children?
And the way they don't protect is that these charges never are reported to the authorities, the police. And
But even if they are, and the person settles, they are stamped with a gag order, and Watchtower only cares about their image. That's disgusting.
okay. But I want you to be thinking for yourselves, because all of this is a personal decision. I analyzed Matthew 18 very carefully. You've heard it before probably, that when it says 2 witnesses must be there to tell, come on, when is there going to be 2 eyewitnesses? And of course the Bible doesn't say eyewitnesses. And so this became a very big red flag for me, and I started thinking. And then I got to thinking about recently about the sexual abuse cases that came to the Olympic Committee, and Larry Nassar, the doctor. And I couldn't understand why women didn't come forward earlier. And that was a block to accepting that it was really true. But then I realized that it's shame, and it's so...
And a lot of it is survival mechanism. They say that when it comes to that kind of abuse, the brain, to survive, buries it so deep, and it's not until people are in their 30s, 40s, and even later that they can even verbalize and articulate what happened to them.
Okay. Well, the other thing in the Matthew 18:16 through 18 scripture is that the final step is they take it to the congregation. It's, I think I mentioned in an earlier video, it's not a trial. It's how the Christians react to the offender themselves. And I think this point is important, that Jesus himself saw that circumstances had to be considered with some rules. For example, his followers and he were still following the Jewish law about no work on the Sabbath, but of course he told them to pick some grain to eat. So, and wouldn't you agree that there would never be 2 eyewitnesses to sexual abuse unless the molester himself confessed? And then I was through with it all when I read the Watchtower in May of 2019. I think that was my last meeting. Watchtower, page 10, where this was obviously an endeavor to do damage control, and the phrase was, yes, they endeavor to contact authorities. How hard can it be to pick up a phone and call the police? Endeavor to contact the authorities. So the Australian Royal Commission opened my eyes and eventually made me see the total lack of love and self-serving hypocrisy practiced by the organization. That was my decision. You have yours to make.